Shalom. Brother Jose coming at you again with another video through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. All glory and honor to Yahweh in the name of his son, Yahweh Shah, for another day in the land of living, another day in his truth, knowing our nationality, our heritage, laws, statutes, commandments, through the spirit of Yahweh Shah, called Yahweh by Shimon Mashak Yahweh Shah. All glory and honor to Yahweh in the name of his son, Yahweh Shah. Yahweh, who the world uses the title God, and Yahweh Shah, who the world uses ignorantly used as Christ through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. Coming back with another video through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. Lord willing, it's edifying to you. I don't count this as a light thing to do, but all glory and honor to Yahweh in the name of his son, Yahweh Shah, that we still able to continue to reverence and magnify him to the best of our ability, and to continue to dive in the word, and to continue to meditate in the laws, statutes, commandments, and everything that is commanded through our forefathers to us through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. And all glory and honor to the Most High. Peace and blessings to those scattered abroad across the four corners of the earth, the brothers that are on the highways and hedges, and waking up the lost sheep, the house of Israel, and the elders as well that have taught a lot of the younger brothers nowadays, and that's still striving and doing to the best of their ability. All glory and honor to the Most High. I pray and ask through the spirit of Yahweh Shah, they continue to build up all brothers and camps and congregations, and those that are not in camps and congregations, because it's vital that we go on the highways and byways, and that we continue to present our bodies a living sacrifice to be able to wake up the elect, as it says in 2 Timothy. I labor not, for myself only, and that we not just doing this work for ourselves only, but these camps on the highways and byways, they're very important to be able to help get us out of this captivity through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. Peace and blessings to those scattered abroad. Peace and blessings to the sisters and the households and the children through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. Peace and blessings to those that are single, those that are alone by themselves. Continue to strive and endure to keep these laws, statutes, commandments to the best of their ability. Lord willing, the Most High will put you with some like-minded brothers and sisters, if it's of his will, through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. All glory and honor to Yahweh by Shemel Shah Mashiach. But nevertheless, we're going to get into it. Title of this is Motivation for Preparation. Resist the devil, because everything that you do, you got to prepare for it. You gotta have some type of preparation. You got to have some type of plan to be able to continue to move forth and to get past where you at now, to excel or abound or go to a higher level. Because there's always room to grow. It's always room to improve. It's always room for things better through the spirit of Yahweh Shah. But I'm going to get this quick precept right quick. And St. John. This is St. John. I'm going to start at, I'm going to go to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, and I'm going to start at verse 40. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 40. And it reads, "Let all things be done decently and in order." So the Most High commanded us to have things done decent and in order, a certain way. And his way is holy. His way is set apart. His way is not man's ways. So we commanded to have things done decent and in order. So it's many things that we supposed to be doing, and we have to go through the accounts in the scriptures, because that's what we have. That's the records that we have. So let's go to Acts right quick. Acts chapter 14, and I'm gonna start at verse 22. Acts chapter 14, starting at verse 22, and it reads, it's the book of Acts chapter 14, starting at verse 22. Acts chapter 14 verse 22. And it reads, "Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith." And so you have many disciples, many men that the Lord had put around others in those days and in these days to exhort. Now exhort goes into encourage, giving good counsel, or motivating, but mainly it's going into encouraging. Acts 14 and 22, "Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God power. So we have to exhort, we have to counsel, we have to pray, we have to fast, we have to read, and there's many things we have to do to continue to keep, the spirit of the righteousness, to keep the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, to keep righteous thoughts, to keep, righteous words in our mind and our spirit, to keep, things in place and in order, so we can wait on Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and if you're not doing that, you just, playing around with the spiritual demon Satan. So there's many things that we have to do. So let's go to Hebrews chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 13. This is Hebrews chapter 3, starting at verse 13, and it reads, "But exhort one another daily, while it is called today." Now, the scriptures tell us, straight up and down, there's many things, there's many similitudes, parables, dark sayings, allegories, deep mysteries, that we still are searching, because there's no man, woman, child that literally has all, secrets and in depths of everything that's written. There's still many things that we have to wait to be able to find out. Short to say, but it's plain as day, as it says, but exhort one another daily, so you got to encourage one another. You may have a wife, you have to encourage your wife. You may have a husband, a woman may have a husband, she may have to encourage her husband sometimes, and then you may have many people that may try to be over righteous, but it's many times and many, precept that you will read that it plain as day says exhort, so it's very important for us to, bear one another's burdens, as the words say, roughly paraphrasing, bear your brother's burdens, or a sister bearing her sister's burdens. There's many things that we can do until Yahweh Shem Yahushua come, so I'm gonna read this again. This is Hebrews chapter 3 verse 13, and it reads, "But exhort one another daily, while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin." So you have to be on the watch. You have to understand that, it's easy to fall, especially in this wicked world. It's very, very easy to fall, and you have to push yourself, and also you have to push others to build themselves up to do better, to not give in to the flesh, to not give in to the cares of this world, to not give in to, when it's high in the moment, when things is high, temptation is high, test and trials is high. Somebody might try to vex you. So somebody may set their whole day up to overthrow your day. So it's very important that we, as the words say, are called today. You have to worry about now. Don't stress yourself out trying to worry about tomorrow. Don't stress yourself out trying to worry about next week. You have to worry about today, because tomorrow is not promised. You don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 hours. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 minutes. Lord willing, I'm doing the work of the Lord to the best of my ability, but we have to always keep that in mind. So let's go to Titus chapter 2. Titus chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 6. This is Titus chapter 2, verse 6, and it reads, "Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded." So like many apostles have scribed and wrote and documented, it's very important for young men, young women to control their spirit, try to stay in the spirit. That's what being sober-minded means. Control your spirit. Have some control. You can't just be tossed with the wind going to and fro all over the place. You got to have some type of control. You got to control your spirit, as the words say. Those who don't watch and have control, it's like a city with no walls. Anything can come in, anything can overthrow you, anything can set boundaries up and such things to be able to move you in directions that you don't even want to go, don't even plan to go, so it's very important. So let's go to 1 Timothy right quick. before we get into it, just a couple of precepts to, lay the foundation. This is 1 Timothy chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 13. 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 13. And it reads, till I come. Now, who is this till I? This is Yahweh speaking. This is literally, even though you have other men that may have been the scribe and a noble or whatever, prophet or king at that time, it's all inspired by Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So 1 Timothy 4 and 13 again, it reads, till I come. Till the Lord comes back, he's commanding us such things that we should be doing. He's commanding such things that we should be watching for. He's commanded such things to use to build our spirit up, to build, a solid foundation and a solid temple and a household and how to govern ourselves. 1 Timothy 4:13, till I come, give attendance to reading. So we should be reading in these last days. We should be reading. We should be having the words of life in our mind. We should be having the words of life always ready to be able to use everything we see. If we had a stop sign, if you're going down the road, if you're going to work, if you're going to the grocery store, you should be able to look at something and have a precept in mind, because that comes with reading, that comes with having, things on your mind. Because, you may listen to a song, you may be in your car, you may turn the radio on, and certain songs, according to wickedness, certain songs, you may hear a song, you may see something going on, or a woman may see a man, or a man may see a woman, and may envision that in their mind, So that's why it's important to be reading, so you can vision righteousness according to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Everywhere you go, everything you do, on your job, when your boss man try to vex you, when your co-workers doing folly and madness, or even in your household when your children, are doing things contrary to what you want to do. And if you're a husband, how to carry yourself as a man, in these last days, because we living in the last days. It's not time to be sitting back kicking your feet up. Even me, I got certain things that I have to do, regardless if I'm making videos, when I'm not making videos, when I'm at camp, when I'm not at camp. It's a certain thing that I have to do according to Yahweh Shem Yahushua and righteousness, and how to carry myself. Because we can't be no hypocrites in this thing. We can't be hypocritical. Can't be no hypocrisy. It's many ways and orders according to the word of life, the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, that we have to use to be able to maneuver in these last days. 1 Timothy 4 and 13, till I come, give attendance to reading. So it's important that we be reading. To exhortation, so it's important that you encourage one another. You rebuke one another. You counsel one another. You help one another up. You pull one another up with the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Let me hold this and let me go to Leviticus chapter 19 right quick. That's very important, because wisdom and knowledge wasn't just given to you to just have at the house, to just have and hold and not spread and not use. Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse 17. Leviticus chapter 19, I'm going to start at verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So, it's important that we judge, and we help one another. And with this judgment, it's judging righteously. It's if you see anything or if you suspect anything, as we supposed to be watching according to the word of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, watch and pray, as it says in Luke, we supposed to be helping one another, and with that same help, we supposed to always be living and walking the same things that we talking, because if I see my brother, smoking weed, I'm already supposed to be upholding myself to a higher standard, to a higher principle, that he can look at me and say, well, he's right, Things is not hard. So like things is not easy for him in his captivity. So hey, you know, he got a right to get on me because he's holding himself up as well, you know, and not giving into the flesh, not going after the cares of the world, you know. So it's important that we have that on our mind, you know. Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord Yahweh. You see that? So, hey, we're supposed to love our neighbors, meaning our brothers and our sisters, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you know, of the same bloodline as our forefathers, you know, the 12 tribes of Israel. We're supposed to be loving each other. And if you love the Most High, hey, you will keep the commandments, as it says in 1 John. You know, let's get there right quick. 1 John chapter 3. It's like in chapter 5. 1 John chapter 5. And I'm going to start at verse 2. 1 John chapter 5 and verse 2. And it reads, by this we know that we love the children of God power. When we love God power. So, hey, if you love the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shah, you're going to love, hey, those around you, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because you see them, you know, but you don't see, hey, the Most High in the third heavens. You may see him in the scriptures, and you should vision him in the scriptures, but on a day-to-day basis, in all the years that you've been on the face of the earth, you know, you've seen others around you. You may have hugged them, handshake, you know, saluted them, you know, had conversations with them, you know, kept feast with them. If you've been in the truth, you know, so hey, you see these things, and you see your brothers and sisters. So you have to be able to show that you love your brothers and sisters in the flesh, not just words, not just text messages, not just emails, phone calls, but also in the flesh, because hey, the Most High is a God power. King of king, Lord of lord of actions. Let's get that in 1 Samuel. This is 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 3. 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 3. And it reads, talk no more so exceeding proudly. Hey, so the Most High, he's not with that proud spirit and that prideful spirit. You know, that's one of the 7 things that the Most High hates, according to Proverbs. You know, 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 3, talk no more talk no more so exceeding proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for the Lord Yahweh is a God power of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. You see that? So the Most High, he's serious about them actions. You know, he's serious about them actions. And he said that in the so-called Old Testament, hey, it didn't change. You know, Yahweh Shah, hey, didn't change nothing when he came on the scene in the flesh over 2,000 years ago. Hey, Matthew 5 and 17 said, hey, think not that I'm come to destroy the law or the prophets. He didn't come to erase what Moses said, what Joshua said, what Jeremiah said, what Isaiah said. You know, hey, he came to be that sacrifice, so we don't have to sacrifice any animals and goats, you know. And there's no more Levitical records of the Levitical priesthood to be able to do that, because he's that high priest, you know. So going back to 1 Timothy 4, 1 Timothy 4 and 13, till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. You see that? So the Lord told us to take heed, and the word doctrine goes into law, you know, because in Proverbs the 4th chapter, he said, I've given you good doctrine. Let's get that right quick. Proverbs 4. He's given us good law, statutes, and commandments. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 4. This is Proverbs chapter 4, and I'm going to start at the top. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 1. And it reads, hear, ye children, the instructions of a father, and attend to no understanding. So, hey, like the Lord says, in all thy getting, get understanding, you know, so you can better understand how he wants you to maneuver in this life, how he wants you to prepare until he comes. You know, Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 2. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. So, hey, we can't forsake the laws, statutes, commandments. Hey, our forefathers did that. You know, you can read about that in Psalms 106. You know, our forefathers forsook that. Let's go to Psalms. Psalms chapter 106. Our forefathers forsook the laws, statutes, commandments. This is Psalms chapter 106. And I'm going to start at verse 6. Psalms 106 and 6. And it reads, we have sinned with our fathers. We have done, so like we have, so like I'm going to read it again from the top. Psalms 106 and verse 6. We have sinned with our fathers. We have committed iniquity. We have done wickedly. Our fathers understood not thy wonders in Egypt. They remember not the multitude of thy mercies, but provoked him at the sea, even at the Red Sea. Nevertheless, he saved them for his name's sake, that he might make his mighty power to be known. You see that? So, hey, our forefathers forsook the Most High, you know. So, hey, we got to continue to walk in the ways of coming back and walking righteously with Yahweh Shem Shah, you know. So, nevertheless, we're going to get into it. This is motivation for preparation, because there's many things you can prepare for. You can prepare for the Sabbath as of right now. You know, you have preparation until the sun go down, and once the sun go down Friday night, it's technically the Sabbath according to Genesis. You know, 1 and 5. You know, according to Exodus. You know, things that we supposed to be doing. You know, and watching for the Sabbath. You know, so hey, you can prepare, you know, for the Sabbath, as well as preparing for your soul. You know, there's many things you can prepare for, you know. So let's go to Exodus. You know, prepare on how to love yourself better, how to love Yahweh Shem Shah, how to love your wife, how to love your husband, for a woman, how to love your children, how to love your neighbor. Issacharite, you know, a Judite, you know, Gadite, you know, Asherite. Hey, it's many things you could prepare for, you know, but nevertheless, this is a video on motivating to prepare, you know, for the kingdom more so, you know. So this is Exodus chapter 16, and I'm gonna start at verse 22. Exodus chapter 16, starting at verse 22, and it reads, and it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 almers for 1 man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses, you know. So this is the 6th day gathering, you know. Now, technically, when the sun goes down, you know, let's get this right quick in Genesis. Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. Genesis chapter 1, verse 5. And God power, and it reads, Genesis 1 and 5, and it reads, and God power called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day, you know. So once the sun go down, you know, there's many other precepts that we could pull to expound more on that, but nevertheless, stand on topic, not getting off track, not trying to be too long. But nevertheless, once the sun goes down, you know, that's the Sabbath, you know. So technically it's still the 6th day, but the 7th day is when we're supposed to rest, you know. And you can read more about that in Genesis, you know, even can read in Mark, the 1st chapter, 32nd verse, you know, that even, you know, the sun did set, you know, it's a new day. So let's get back to this. Exodus 16 and 22. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 almers for 1 man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. Verse 23. And he said unto them, this is that which the Lord Yahweh hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord Yahweh. Bake that which ye will bake today, and see it that ye will see it, and that which remaineth overlay up for you to be kept until the morning. So, you know, being holy is being set apart. You know, you're not doing things that everybody else does. And that's what's commanded by, the Most High Yahweh Hamashiach to the Israelites, to be holy, to be set apart. Deuteronomy 7:6, Deuteronomy 14, a peculiar people, a special people. So the Most High had called us special and called us to be separate. So we have to do things separate from how other nations and wicked heathen and wicked tribes, as far as the heathen, not that they're tribes, but according to the wickedness that the world uses and other nations, So we have to be set apart. We have to do things according to how the Most High God said it, and that's preparation for the Sabbath. You cooking everything before the Sabbath, because technically on the Sabbath you can't buy and sell. You can read that in Nehemiah, the 10th chapter, starting at the 31st verse. And you can't cook on the Sabbath. You can't kindle no fire. You can read that in as many accounts in Exodus and Leviticus. Lord willing, we could do another video on that. According to the milk laws, statutes, and commandments. But it's important that we continue to prepare. Now until the kingdom come, and like you read in Judges the 5th chapter, you rehearsing the righteous acts. And you showing how much you believe in Yahweh Shem Shah by your works and having faith. And you showing your faith by keeping these laws, statutes, commandments. Like James said, the Apostle James, show me your works. Show me your faith, and I'll show you my works with my faith. So they both go together. So Exodus 16 and 24, and they laid it up till morning. And they laid it up till the morning as Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm therein. And Moses said, eat that today, for today is a Sabbath unto the Lord Yahweh. Today ye shall not find it in the field. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. Verse 27, and it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none. Verse 28, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? So, we supposed to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments straight up and down. We're not supposed to be buying and selling or working on the Sabbath day. Now we understand that we in a captivity. We living in a time now where you can go to a job and they say, well, and I've seen this happen. They say, well, we don't work on Saturdays or Sundays. And then according to how the economy is set up, or how things is moving in this wicked society, in this world that we live in, 6 months later, they may switch something and say, hey, you got to work 7 Sabbaths, 7 Saturdays for the next 3 months. And if you don't come in, we're going to fire you, And we don't have a say so here. We fell short. We got to eat out of the foul. We got to eat out of the foul bread, as we read about it in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter. So like Ezekiel 9, I believe it's Ezekiel 4. So like, Ezekiel 4, we got to eat out of the foul bread. We can't just go and drop all this money on farms and, come up with our own food and things like that. Hey, if we do that, we got to answer to, Esau, the Edomites, or whoever else is in rulership in that city, that state, or that country, which is going to be a heathen, Hey, because we fell short. Hey, the Lord put these things on us for a reason. So let me read this right quick in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 28. You can read more about these curses in Deuteronomy 28. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28. And I'm going to start at verse 48. Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Verse 49. The Lord Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flight, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. you know, English, Spanish, you know, all type of folly and madness, you know, because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you know, so therefore we was punished. You know, the Most High, hey, he punishes Israelites, you know. And let me get this right quick in Hebrews. Hey, cause that's what a righteous father would do, you know. Let me get this right quick in Hebrews. This is Hebrews chapter, let me see what I want. This is Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 5. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 5. Hey, because a righteous father is not just going to let his children do anything how they want to. And if he give them orders, commands, and things to do, and they don't do it, hey, you got to punish them. You know, spare not the rod. That's in the Lord's word. You know, roughly paraphrasing. Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 5. And it reads, and ye have forgotten the exhortation, which speaking unto you as unto children, my son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, Yahweh Shah, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourged every son whom he received. And check this out. Verse 7, Hebrews 12 and 7. If ye endure chastening, God power dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the father chasteneth not? You know, so a righteous father is going to correct his son, is going to set his son up to learn, to be reproved. And if you hate being reproved, hey, that's wicked. You know, that is wicked. Let me get that. It's a rap. And Ecclesiasticus, you know, got to get you apocrypha if you ain't already. For those that may be new, that may watch, you know, the hidden books, you know. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 21, and I'm gonna start at verse 6. Sirach chapter 21 and verse 6, and it reads, he that hated to be reproved, corrected. That's what reprove means. He that hated to be reproved is in the way of sinners. So, hey, you're going to be marked as wicked if you don't repent, you know, and the Lord knows our thoughts. Job 42 and 2, you know, Romans 11 and 34, who can understand the counsel of the Most High, you know. The Most High knows who to counsel. The Most High knows who to correct. The Most High knows who to, you know, give certain correction for their errors to, you know. He's, you know, the great almighty, you know, there ain't no going against that. Sirach chapter 21 and verse 6, he that hated to be reproved is in the way of sinners, but he that feareth the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shah, will repent from his heart. You see that? So, hey, we can't go against these laws, statutes, and commandments, you know. So let's go to St. John. St. John chapter 19, you know, because this is motivation for preparation. It's always something you can prep for. It's like St. John chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse 42. This is the book of St. John chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse 42. And it reads, there lay they, I'm going to start at verse 41. St. John 19 and 41. Now in the place where he was crucified, there was a garden. And in the garden a new subtree, wherein was never man yet laid. There laid they, Yahweh Shah, who the word calls Jesus. Therefore, because of the Jews' preparation day, for the subtree was not at hand. You know, and the Jews, now we know and we understand, to those in the truth that understands, you know, and bears witness and believes and trusts that the Israelites, you know, that the Jews are Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, you know, and having the kingdom was split for the fall of King Solomon, and him being told that the kingdom was going to be split. You know, you can read about that in the First Kings, you know, First Kings, let me see, I don't want to be too into it. First Kings 11, and so like First Kings chapter 11, you can start at verse 26 all the way down to verse 32, but being that Judah, Benjamin, Levi are considered the Jews, and the other tribes are considered Israel, because you got the southern kingdom and you got the northern kingdom. But not to get off topic, that's let me read it one more time. St. John 19 and 42. St. John 19 and 42. There laid they Yahweh Shah, therefore, because of the Jews' preparation day. So let's go to verse 31. St. John 19 and 31. And it reads, the Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation. So you have a preparation before the Sabbath actually kicks in. You can't just go straight into the Sabbath and you ain't got nothing prepared. You're gonna be vexed, and it's gonna be worrisome to your flesh, because you ain't got no food prepared, because you can't cook, you can't buy, you can't sell, so you can't go out and get nothing. So you gotta prepare, and anything you do, you have to prepare. We preparing for the kingdom now, by praying, reading, fasting, getting our houses in order, teaching our children, loving our wives, and getting our wives ready for the kingdom. It's many things that we can prepare for, and the Sabbath being that before it's almost the Sabbath, we also have to prepare for that as well, So reading this one more time, St. John 19 and verse 31. The Jews, therefore, because it was the preparation that the bodies should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was an high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. So as it just said, that Sabbath day was a high day, not just the ordinary regular day that you can just do anything as you please. Hey, it's literally a high day, as the word just said, so it's a way that you have to go about observing that day and making sure things are in place for that day to be kept how it's supposed to be kept. Now, there's many other things that we prepare for to make sure that, we keeping such things that's supposed to be kept as commanded by Yahweh Shem Shah, and keeping our soul, keeping ourselves intact in righteousness. That's something else to prepare for as well. So let's go to Sirach chapter 2. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha chapter 2. And I always try to make sure I show this. Mine's a little jammed up, but the Apocrypha, you can get you one at Barnes & Noble if they still got it, off Amazon if it's still up there. But Lord willing, just to be able to, have the 1611 King James, So this is Ecclesiasticus, Sirach chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 1. And it reads, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. You see that? So, it just told us that if we come to serve the Lord, because everybody isn't going to serve the Lord. You even going to have many that will endure for a little moment serving the Lord. They may fall out. Lord willing, you watching this video, you don't fall. Lord willing, I don't fall. But we got to continue to endure. But it said, if thou come to serve the Lord, if, you have to keep that in mind. If, and when you fall on hard times, when you get weak in the flesh, when your spirit get weak, you have to remember that if, I chose to come to serve the Lord, so I have to prepare my spirit, prepare my mind to what's to come. Because there's many things to prepare for, many things to look out for, many things that we have to be able to continue to take heed to, So let's read this one more time. This is Sirach chapter 2, And verse 1, Sirach chapter 2 and verse 1, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, prepare thy soul for temptation, set thy heart aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. You know, so you're supposed to be setting your mind aright. You're supposed to be preparing your mind for what's to come. Preparing your mind to vision, you know, the kingdom of heaven, to vision seeing the Messiah, to vision being, you know, in the kingdom with Christ, Hamashiach, Yahushua, the Messiah, you know. And the Lord told us to watch, you know, to try to, you know, watch for things and pray for things. Let's get there right quick. This is Mark. So like, I'm going to go to Luke. Let's go to Luke chapter 21. Luke chapter 21. And I'm going to start at verse 36. Luke chapter 21 and verse 36. And it reads, watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. You see that? So we're supposed to be watching, you know, supposed to be praying always, you know, preparing ourselves, you know, preparing ourselves to what's to come. Many evils are going to come, many famines, pestilence, you know, that you can read about in Matthew the 24th chapter. You know, many things are going to come that will test our faith, you know, seeing how much we really believe in the Lord, you know, seeing if we still going to hold on, you know, or we're going to let go and give into the flesh, you know. So let's go back to Sirach chapter 2. And it reads, so I'm going to start back at 2. Sirach chapter 2 and verse 2. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. You know, and one thing we supposed to be really be looking at is seeing how our King Christ, the Messiah, Yahushua, how he carried himself when he was tempted, because he got tempted too. So let's go to Matthew chapter 4. You know, and he was actually in the flesh, and a lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people can't receive that, and that's a little too much to be to believe by a lot of people. But it actually happened, you know. And if you don't believe that, you know, as and you read in St. John, so like the 1 John, that, you know, many people are gonna deny that Christ is actually, you know, the Messiah, you know, which, hey, that will put them as the Antichrist. You not believing on the power, you know, on the breath of life. So this is Matthew chapter 4 and verse 1, and it reads, then was Yahushua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. You see that? To be tempted of the devil. You know, now this devil isn't just a red man with a pitchfork, you know, just going around poking people and, you know, grabbing people and taking them down, you know, to what Christianity may deem as hell. You know, you have devil that is called a spirit, you know, I'm gonna just get the etymology. Let's go to let's get this word right quick. In the blue letter. In the Greek. Let me see if I can get it to play. Diablos.
Strong's G1228. Diabolos.
Diabolos. Strong's G1228. Prone to slander, slanderers, accusing falsely. You know, false accuser, slanderer. You know. So let's go to Job right quick. Job chapter 2. This is the book of Job chapter 2. And I'm going to start at verse 1. Job chapter 2 verse 1. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. So hey, Satan is going to come to try to accuse you, going to try to come and tempt you, going to try to come and, afflict you. Hey, because there's many things that you're going to have to endure, like we read earlier, in Acts 14 and 22, through much tribulation, we shall enter into the kingdom. So Satan's job is to, try to accuse you or try to vex you or all type of things. So Job chapter 2 and verse 2. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord Yahweh and said, from going to and fro in the earth and from walking up and down in it. Verse 3, check this out. Job chapter 2 and verse 3. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God power and eschewed evil, meaning depart from evil. So he said, are you considering, my servant Job? He said, hast thou considered, So, hey, let's look up the etymology for that. Because you can't just look at these words just like they just regular words or try to pin them to be whatever we want them to be. Has thou considered? Well, it doesn't give me what I want. But nevertheless, have you tried? But nevertheless, it's not giving me what I want. But consider, have you thought about, are you here to try my servant? So let's read this one more time. Job chapter 2, verse 3. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God power and eschewed evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. So Satan is going to come to try you, to see if you really, believe in the Lord, if you really love the Lord, if you really want to keep the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments. Satan is going to do that, man. That's what he does. And we can read many accounts on him trying people, testing people. Let's go to Ezra right quick. Just the book of Ezra. Let's go to Ezra chapter 4. This is what Satan does. Ezra chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse 3. Ezra chapter 4, verse 3. But Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God power, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord Yahweh God power of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, had commanded us. So you have people going around during the times that they was, getting back from exile and trying to restore the temple. They had prophets, that was helping them. They had mighty Israelite men that was helping them to build up this temple, and restore, when it was destroyed. Verse 4, Ezra chapter 4, verse 4. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah. You see that? It says, then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. So you're going to have many people that's going to trouble you, that are led by the spiritual demon Satan, that are led by wicked spirits, that you may read about, and we're going to get into it, Lord willing, So you have many people that are going to be, trying to tempt you, or want to be trying to get you out of the spirit, want to be trying to vex you, are going to be trying to, get you to do away with everything that you built, all of the praying, all of the fasting, all of the reading, all of getting yourself in the place where you can better yourself. Keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. Read that one more time, verse 4. Ezra 4:4. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building. Verse 5. And hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose. So you may be preparing, and somebody may come along and try to overthrow your preparing. This is what we have to deal with in this land right now. Somebody trying to frustrate us. Spiritual demons, Satan trying to frustrate us. Wicked principalities trying to frustrate us. But the Lord knows who his elect are, knows who to protect, knows who's to cover, knows who's to shield. And he can send anything. A spirit, he can send a righteous spirit, he can send an angel, he can do many things, So we're gonna come back to this, but let's go to Daniel right quick. Let's go to Daniel. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12 and verse 1. And it reads, Daniel 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, and this is going into a time of trouble like never before ever been, when evil and wickedness is at an all-time high. And this is going to come whether you believe it or not. So this isn't just a video to just to be making for no reason. It's a video to motivate you to prepare, now, to get prepared now, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to prepare now. Daniel chapter 12 verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And you can also read about that in Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, from 1 on down as well. So you're going to have many people and many spirits that are going to try to frustrate you. Let's go back to Ezra. Ezra chapter 4 and verse 5. And hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even unto the reign of Darius, king of Persia. You see that? So even in the time of, Jeremiah, Ezra, Nehemiah, you have men, trying to overthrow their preparation, overthrow their purpose, overthrow them trying to build up, the temples, build up the walls, and that's what happens, man, So let's go to 2 Timothy. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2. So like 2 Timothy chapter 3. And I'm going to start at verse 12. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 12. And it reads, Yea, and all that will live godly in Hamashiach, Yahushua shall suffer persecution. And again, it says Christ, in the Greek, and you got Jesus, which letter J didn't invent it until the late 15th, 16th century. So we know Christ to be Hamashiach, the consecrated one, the anointed one, and Yahushua to be who the word uses, Jesus, meaning he shall save. As you read about in Matthew 1 and 21, he shall save, he shall deliver. That's what Yahushua means in the Paleo Hebrew. So reading this one more time, 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 12. Yea, and all that will live godly in Hamashiach Yahushua shall suffer persecution. So if you're trying to live righteous for Christ, the Messiah, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer. So you have to prepare yourself to strengthen your spirit, to strengthen your faith, to strengthen your zeal, and this is why it's important to stay in the word, because you should be asking the Lord to increase your faith, to increase your fear for him, to honor him, respect him, glorify, magnify his name, So let's go to Psalms right quick. Psalm 34. Let's go to Psalms chapter 34. Psalm chapter 34, and let's start at verse 19. Psalms 34 and 19. And it reads, many are the afflictions of the righteous. So, many of the righteous men, women, and children and households are going to be afflicted in these days, you know, and that's something you have to remember. Day by day, you're gonna be afflicted. You're gonna be put to the test. You're gonna be put on trial, you know, to see, if you really believe in the Lord, you know, do you want the Lord to dwell in your spirit, dwell in your vessel, you know? So, what do you have to do when you test? When you're put to the test, you know, how are you moving? You know, when you're not around people, you know, when you're not able to make videos, when you're not able to go to camp, when you're not able to see your wife and your children, when you're not, if a woman not able to see her husband, if you're not able to eat, you know, if you don't have any food for the next 7 days, 8 days, 10 days, 12 days, 15, 16, 17, 21 days, how are you able to carry yourself then? You know, it's about faith, trusting and believing in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know, let me get this in Matthew right quick. Because the Lord said we can't live off bread and water, but by what? Matthew 4 and 4. It's the book of Matthew. I'm gonna start at verse 3. Matthew chapter 4 and verse 3. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God power, command that these stones be made bread. Verse 4, Matthew 4 and 4. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God power. You know, and Christ, Yahushua, he quoted a Deuteronomy the 8th chapter. You know, so many of the righteous was afflicted, man. Job, Daniel, Christ, Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus, you know, King David, he was afflicted, you know, Peter was afflicted, Paul, you know, many of the men that you read about. Psalm chapter 34 and verse 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord Yahweh delivered him out of them all. You see that? So let's go to Psalm 91. And this is what you have to be looking forward to. This is why this should be motivating you to keep the law, to continue to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. So when the tempter comes, so when the accuser comes, so when it's time to be tested, you know, you can stand firm, bold, and confident. You know, there's no accusations that could be brought up against you. Now we understand that we're gonna fall short, because every man falls short in his flesh, in his corruptible flesh. But that's why it's important that, like Hamashiach Christ said in Luke 5 and 32, repent. He calls sinners to repent. You should be turning away from anything that you feel short of. Backsliding, terror, murmuring, gossiping, smoking, masturbation, porn, you know, wicked idolatry, you know, if a woman was committing adultery, you know, and if a man slept with another man's wife, you should be repenting and not doing it anymore. You know, this is Psalm chapter 91. And I'm going to start at verse 4. Psalms 91 and 4. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. So anything that comes up, you're not going to be afraid of it. You know, and we understand World War III is on the rise, more pestilence is on the rise, you know, more evils are going to be brought to the earth. Why? Because the Lord, he hates this place, man. You know, it's nothing but wickedness here. And you being here, you should be walking to the best of righteousness, keeping these laws, statutes, commandments, so you can get delivered out of here and not destroyed with all of this wickedness. You know? So let's go to 1 Peter. We're going to get a couple more, Lord willing, we can wind down before the Sabbath get brought in. This is 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 12. 1 Peter 4:12, and it reads, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you. You know, hey, because you're gonna be tried. You know, if you believe in the Messiah and following the Messiah, you're going to be tried. So you shouldn't think it's strange anything that happens to you. If you lose your house, if you lose your car, if you lose your job, if you lose your wife, if you lose your husband, your children, you know, whatever it is, you shouldn't think nothing strange about it. You know, don't act like, oh my gosh, why did this happen? How could this happen? Where did this come from? You should be in the spirit each and every day to continue to look and see that if anything and everything that happens to you, it's to test you, it's to try you. So you got to continue to proceed forth and keep moving and stay in the spirit and follow after righteousness, laws, statutes, and commandments after Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And not by anything happening, you getting vexed, you getting weak, you giving into the spiritual demon Satan. You know, you're not going back and smoking weed, popping pills. You're not going back after dealing with wicked women, and a woman dealing with wicked men, all because you're getting tested, you're getting tried. You have to perceive and prepare yourself to get stronger and stronger and stronger, you know. Hey, because Satan is going to come, but you have to do certain things and walk in a certain way for him to, he getting tired of it, man. He tired of dealing with you. And you just going to keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So let me get this right quick. Let's go to Luke. Luke chapter 4. Let's go to Luke chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse. Luke chapter 4. And I'm going to start at verse 12. Luke chapter 4 verse 12, and it reads, and Yahushua answered, and that's what the word calls Jesus. Luke 4:12, and Yahushua answering said unto him, it is said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God power. Verse 13, Luke 4:13, and when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. You see that? So it said when the devil, now let's go to Matthew 8, just to make it clear and no confusion. Let's go to Matthew chapter 8. Matthew chapter 8, starting at verse 16. Matthew 8 and verse 16, and it reads, when the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils. Check this out. What is devils? And he cast out the spirits. So it could be a spirit or whatever the Most High wanted to be, according to how he sends it from the third heavens by his angels and his creation. It could be a video, you know, but it's a spirit. Matthew 8 and 16, when the evil was come, they brought unto him many that was possessed with devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word and healed all that were sick. Because if any man or woman come in the flesh, it's the spirit that they're coming with, you know. So Luke 4 and 13, again, Luke 4 and 13. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season, you know. So you got to resist that wickedness. So let's go to James right quick. Let's go to James. Let's go to James chapter 4. James chapter 4. It's the book of James chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 7. James chapter 4 and verse 7. And it reads, submit yourselves therefore to God's power. And that's what we should be doing every day as we prepare more and more day by day that he gives us to see by the grace and mercy. If we're able to see the next day, then the next day, we should be preparing ourselves more and more to submitting to him, his law, statute, commandments, his word, his charge, his precepts, you know, his epistles, his gospels, everything, you know, in righteousness. James chapter 4 verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God's power. Resist the devil, Resist the devil. So let's look up the etymology on resisting the devil. Resist the devil. Even though we feel like, or we may know, hey, it's always good to hit the refresh button. Resist the devil. This is a Greek word.
Strong's G 436. Anthistemi. Anthistemi. Strong's G 436. Anthistemi.
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 To set oneself against, to withstand, resist, oppose, to set against. You see that? To withstand. So don't give in to the spiritual demon Satan. You gotta withstand. You gotta fight that. You know? You gotta fight that. James chapter 4 and verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to God's power. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Verse 8. Draw nigh to God's power and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. So, hey, this thing is about resisting Satan, the spiritual demon Satan. Not giving in to him, but withstanding him, you know. So let's go to Luke. Let's go back to Luke. We're going to get a couple more, and then we're going to close out through the spirit of Yahweh. So let's get Luke chapter 4 and verse 8. Luke chapter 4 and verse 8. And it reads, And Yahweh answered and said unto him, Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord Yahweh thy God power, and him only shalt thou serve. So, Christ, the Messiah, told Satan to get behind him, and the only person you should be worshiping and bowing down to is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, God power, and his son, the Messiah. Only. That's it. You know. So, when we get tempted, when things get vexed and we get weak, we gotta call unto the name. We gotta call out into the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua and tell Satan to get behind us. You know. So we're gonna get a couple more, maybe two more, Lord willing. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 13. I'm gonna start at verse 11. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 11. For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Yahweh HaMashiach. Verse 12. Now if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble. Verse 13. Every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire. And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. So, these tests and trials that you're gonna go through is gonna try your works, you know, to see if you continue to stand firm on what you believe, and also for the Most High to get the glory out of your life as well. For righteous men and righteous women, as he did in Daniel, as he did in King David, as he did in Moses, you know, Nehemiah, Ezra, you know, as he did, you know, in Peter and Paul, you know, and their work was tried. You know, Paul, his work was tried. You know, he kept working. He kept staying in the faith, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 14. If any man's work abide which he had built thereupon, he shall receive a reward. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire. You see that? So, Lord, when Christ come back, the Messiah, Yahushua, we can continue to have those righteous works in us for him to be able to deliver us with through the spirit of Yahushua. So, Lord willing, this video is edifying to you. On count, this is a light thing to do. All glory and honor to Yahweh Yahushua. This is Isaiah chapter 20. Let's get Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee. So continue to trust in the Lord Yahweh and his son, in the name of his son Yahweh Shah, Hamashiach, the Messiah, and continue to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and resist the spiritual demon Satan. Continue to build up yourself and prepare, reading, praying, fasting, and doing all you can to be blameless. More so, repenting every day and keeping your mind on the Lord through the Spirit of Yahweh Shah. Brother Hosea, fisherman for Zion, peace and blessings. Shabbat Shalom. Once the Sabbath come in, all glory and honor to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shah, Mashiach. Call of Yahweh, Bashim Mashiach Yahweh Shah. Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Brother Hosea, fisherman for Zion, all glory and honor to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shah, Mashiach. Kwam Yahshua. Shalom.